It's Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. White get in the building.
Hey,
White get trended yesterday. Over trend itself.
I thought I should address it, because I did not mean it for people to now come at her, and I just told a story so that people will be more careful with what they do, because you don't know what will happen in future.
Right.
I did not mean anything against Foluke. She's a nice girl. I've since made my peace with her. I even spoke to her yesterday. So please, I beg, don't come at her. I beg.
How are you doing, Tope?
I'm good. I'm doing very well. We're counting down to our walk on Saturday.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop,
yeah.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
You know, I like the idea of this countdown to our anniversary, because they've been celebrating our 10-year anniversary since February. So people are seeing us and saying, "Hi, happy 10-year anniversary." I said, yes, we're still counting down to the main event. It's in May, but we're counting down. So attending the walk is free. Somebody asked how much, and I was like, no,
just come
it's a walk. Just come to TVC premises early enough on Saturday morning. By 7, we should have some lights.
So you're hoping to gather by 7, but by 8 o'clock, we'll start moving.
T-shirts are first come, first serve.
Exactly.
So yesterday I went to the gym as to prepare myself for the walk. I'm telling you, because I didn't want to collapse on the way. Let me test my strength, So it'll be nice to see everyone hang out, just take pictures, and generally talk about.
And the t-shirts are limited. We don't have so many. We only have about 100. So it's first come, first serve. Yeah. I'll get. No. How are you doing, Mariam?
I'm fine, thank you.
I love your hair.
Thank you very much.
Tell me you're going somewhere.
Thank you.
Yeah, somewhere.
I'm somewhere. Anyways, so tomorrow is the book reading I have in Ikorodu. I'll be reading to a group of children.
You're talking about that for a while.
Community.
Yeah.
I was invited by Lend a Hand to Africa. So this non-governmental organization goes into communities and highlights the issues for underprivileged children in underprivileged communities. They've done so many things like food drive before, and this is something that I'm passionate about, So I'll be giving out books. I remember I made an appeal to the public, and I got many generous donations. And so with that, I'm going to get
books you have now?
I have much more than I need.
Ooh, yes.
Yes. So I'll use it for this particular one, and then for subsequent events as well. So thank you.
Well done. I love that. Thank you for all of those who supported. That's fantastic. I'm so happy. When you went to get something out for free, I'm happy that people always come forward to support. Fantastic. Well done. So as part of our lined-up activities leading to Your View at 10, again, we'll be talking about our walk coming up on Saturday. It's a walk for equity, and we're specifically inviting the he for she's men. Please come out, because we want to show that there are men who believe in equity, believe that women should be given the equal standing in society as across board. So please come and show your support to us. And it's part of our lineup of events towards our anniversary. We're going to be 10 years, May 29th this year. I'm so excited. It's not beings to be 10 years on television. So months going through there, we'll be doing different activities, but we're looking forward to celebrating our viewers. Okay, that is all.
Tope and I are wearing the same top.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, she got it for me. And I tried to try.
And it just coincidentally,
she's also wearing the same thing.
Fantastic. Lovely. You guys should take a picture together.
Yeah, we will. Definitely.
All righty, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, we're going to start with the nation. DSS warns interim government plotters of their consequences. Tinubu, my mandate, best birthday gift from Nigerians. NPC, Nigerians won't answer religious-related questions during census. Banks worried over low cash deposit by customers. Musician Portable faces police probe. Incoming governors unfold agenda for states. FEC okays 24.2 billion naira for free internet in airports and others. All right, which story are we starting with?
Okay, I have banks. Banks are worried. They say that there have been low deposits from customers. And we know that where there are low deposits, it would affect the lending ability of banks. You know, that's how banks perform their businesses. We bring our money, we put it in the banks, and then the banks use it to, you know, give us loans and other things, and that's how they also make their money. And they say it is a direct result of the Emefiele crisis.
Right.
And although they're saying that they're a bit optimistic that as, you know, more cash is flowing and people are getting more comfortable, that they would go back to where it used to be. But they're saying that even people who used to use banks have now begun to keep their money away from the banks because they shocked us. And so we hopefully, I don't know, hopefully Nigerians will go back to using the banks, but that's good for the banks. But I'm hoping that it means that when we create policies and want to implement them, we think about the long-term multiplier effect on the economy generally and even on the business of the bank. Because at first it seemed it's Nigerians' problem to handle it. Now we're seeing how it's affecting the banks themselves.
A story last week where Emefiele was saying, well done to the fintechs and for doing the... And I was like, should you be even saying that? Do you know how many people's money has been hanging? Don't even talk. Just keep quiet.
And be efficient.
And be praising who? What are you praising them for?
Anyway, they reminded us that he apologized for that. So that we remember the apology.
Also praise them as well. Because you took the story, I was watching from home and I was very upset at the time.
Okay, which other story we're taking in the nation?
Yeah, the President-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his birthday on Wednesday, he gave a speech that he titled "My Birthday Message to Nigerians," and he said that he was grateful for the opportunity that Nigerians have given to him, that this was his a major birthday gift from Nigerians, and he said it's a rare privilege and one that he would not take lightly, nor will he squander it. He also mentioned that he said, I will instead use this day as an opportunity to reiterate my commitment to the great and important task of rebuilding our nation, renewing hope of the Nigerian people. I campaigned hard and made promises. Those promises were not mere words professed glibly or cynically to win support. They represent a bond that binds me to the task of creating a better Nigeria for the benefit of every Nigeria. So this is his message to Nigerians as it clocks 71.
Oh, you have Portable story. Go ahead.
Yeah, the police have said that they may prosecute Portable.
No, they will prosecute him.
The headline was may prosecute.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
So they said he was seen in a viral video hurling insults at the police officers who were carrying out their legal duties, and that is very disturbing, and that the officers were detailed to execute a warrant of arrest on him for allegations of criminal acts. Anyway, they are upset.
Let me just read it exactly, YK.
Please,
the action of the singer in the video was unruly and conduct likely to cause a breach of peace and incitement of violence against the officers who were detailed to execute a warrant of arrest. The MPF will take necessary steps to investigate his actions and ensure that he is prosecuted for any criminal activity he may have committed, depending on the severity of the offense. So according to them, they are sent in 4 times.
They invited him.
Invited him for the allegations of somebody had reported him for some kind of illegal activity or some criminal thing that he did. Okay. And he was sent the letters, I think 3 times or so. And he didn't show up. Okay. So they went to him with the warrant and to arrest him.
The video went viral.
The video, it was live. He went live. And he was saying, you haven't given me a warrant.
Yes.
He was saying that. That's what he said. But the police is saying that they have. And if they didn't,
so when they were doing the video, why didn't they show us the warrant at that point?
That's also important.
Well, When you're police, you don't I don't know.
No. Police have to show you a warrant.
You should get a lawyer.
All of us are watching Hollywood movies now. We know that there will be a warrant. We understand that, but
get a lawyer.
We'll see. They doesn't get a lawyer. I was going to take the DSS ones interim plotters, but I think I took that story yesterday. But let's move on quickly to the Punch. Arrest interim government plotters. APC PDP tells DSS. 25 children, 125 adult Libyan returnees land in Lagos. Burglars jailed 7 years for robbing patients. Jonathan. Whitney Christian school workers trial begins today. Ramadan election riggers, Yahoo boys fasting in vain, says clerics. FG plans sanctions as 633 die in oil operations. How I'll tackle police corruption, PSC chairman. And presidency, rare privilege, I won't squander, says Tinubu. Okay, which story are we starting with?
The Libyan returnees. So the National Emergency Management Agency has received 151 returnees at the cargo wing of the Maurice Mohammed Airport. They came back from Libya. There were about 71 adult female. 2 of them have medical condition, 10 female children, about 7 female infants. This was this return was assisted by voluntary repatriation by the International Organization of Migration. And I'll just want to finally quote what the Director General of NEMA, represented by Adenike Ogunkule, he said that the NEMA chief assures returnees that the federal government will support them, but they are appealing to Nigerians that are seeking greener pastures to be careful when they are trying to move abroad, because things like this might happen where they are going to isn't conducive for them to stay and they have to come back. There were also 4 male children, 5 male infants that were brought back from Libya. Sad, but I'm happy that at least they are back home.
Okay, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Have you been behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table. So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Gentlemen, make welcome dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist,
Afrobeat historian in her right and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show Your View, Omoyeni, Yeni, Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power! Ginger, today we'll go here.
Hey, I don't read you.
Are you sure?
Ha. I'm not here to answer questions, I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
Wait till your age.
I was close now.
I
said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75. Fellas wasn't even born till 75.
So will I drink half?
You go drink. Take. Make I help you. Russian.
No be half.
Which half? You will make me drink. I'll give you a hint.
Lights in no. Nepa Road. Nepa Road in Abeokuta.
Thanks for staying with us. So still on the DSS story, the DSS spokesman, Dr. Peter Afunaya, was saying that the service considered the plot being persuaded or pursued by these entrenched interests as it's not only an aberration, but a mischievous way to set aside the constitution and undermine civil rule. He's referring to the plot to disrupt the incoming swearing in and put in an interim government. He says that the few of them have had meetings, and the concerned meeting is for them to start some kind of a protest, consistent, endless protest that would across the cities to cause a declaration of a state of emergency. Another of their plot is to obtain frivolous court injunctions to forestall the inauguration of the new executive administration and legislative federal state levels. The DSS, according to them, supports the president's vow to ensure a hitch-free handover and will assiduously work to achieve that. They're also saying that they're also supporting the Presidential Transition Council to ensure full transition. So all those who are plotting to stop the transition or to stop the inauguration should desist from it. And media, civil society, other judicial authorities, and other stakeholders are also warned to be watchful and cautious to avoid being used as instruments to subvert peace and stability in our nation, because many people, especially influencers, celebrities, could be used by some of these agendas to disrupt governance. Because the truth is that any type of government that is not constitutionally constituted should not stand. And the DSS is they are the service of the state, and they do not take that from any citizen.
I wish the DSS, if it is true,
yes.
Let's call out the names.
Call out the names. There's no need to be frightening us or saying...
You can't call out the name because you don't have the full investigation to be sure. So it's still an ongoing investigation. There are suspicions, they're telling us. So if you start calling names...
They're investigating.
Yes, but they're giving us, like, warning us to be careful
give us the
and keep
details.
our eyes open while they are investigating.
To hurry up.
If I call a name that is wrong now, they will now say that.
And then you might actually let those that are planning it would stop planning it because they know that DSS probably is on them.
So they are different ways of doing this.
Okay.
That's fine.
The burglars that have been jailed for robbing patients, Jonathan, the former first lady.
Oh.
Yeah, they gave them 7 years, yeah.
Oh, how much did they take?
Did
they put how much they took?
I know we took it a while back.
They didn't really say what she took.
Okay, but okay.
What the two of them, an attempted murder.
Ooh.
No, they said worth millions, property worth millions. And the other girl, they gave her 6 months for negligence of duty.
I have a story too. So the federal government on Wednesday, that's through the agency, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, they had a meeting with petroleum product transporters and retailers in Abuja, and we're talking about health safety, of the business and how it happens. And they mentioned that so far, 633 fatalities have been recorded in the downstream sector. That happens when they're transporting petroleum products, at filling stations, incidents that happen at filling stations, incidents that happen at the depot. And they're saying that these incidents, that NMDPRA is going to now take HSC technical audits. That means they would come to wherever you're doing your business and make sure the health, safety, environment guidelines are followed to the T. This is no longer business as usual. There are just too many casualties that has happened as a result of the way business is being handled. Right. And the oil marketers themselves will be held liable. I think it's a good thing to do, but I feel it's also late. I thought it should not be now it's not business as usual. It shouldn't have been business at all from the beginning. And I hope that this is not just talk, that we see a huge difference in how they carry out their businesses. And just the number of deaths that happen and just accidents that happen is just too many. You know, you can have one a year even is a lot. But talk about over 633, that's not good.
Okay, moving on to Daily Sun. DSS confirms plots for interim government. No plans to print Biafra currency, says IPOB. NPC rules out religious consideration during census. Senate sets up committee to recover 6 trillion naira unpaid ground rent. Gubapol, INEC presents certificates to Kano, Oyo, Benue, and other states. US raises student work visa by 15%. And EFCC tech approves 95 billion naira for roads in Ekiti, Ondo State. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Ground rent. So the Senate yesterday set up a ad hoc committee. The motion was moved by Senator Yusuf to say that since Nigeria needs money and we're looking for how to get money, about 6 trillion naira is unpaid in terms of ground rent from 36 states. In 1992, the federal government, people have built 2 million houses across the 36 states. Beneficiaries of the federal government, and there's no evidence of payment of ground rent on their properties. So this other committee the motion was supported, and they have now created a committee to to seek how they are going to have the 6 trillion retrieved from property owners across the country. And the Senate president has given them the next 4 weeks for us to get a report concerning this. Anyhow we can make money will be a good one.
Okay.
I was going to take is it the same story about the bandits?
No.
Huh?
No, not the same story.
Okay, the bandits that kidnapped 60 people 2 weeks ago. They've executed 5 of those people. They first demanded 200 million, then they reduced it to 100 million. And they haven't been able to pay. So they raped 3 women and released them to go and tell the people, we have executed 5 of the people. And amongst the people, a retired police officer, Mr. Moses Tanko, another serving police officer whose name they couldn't talk, a Yoruba guy, an Igbo guy, and a Baggy were among those, abducted. I don't know if they were killed. But they have said if they don't pay the 100 million, they will continue
to
kill them. So the people in the community are begging, please come to our aid.
All right.
It's a very sad story.
Yes, I have the National Population Commission trying to refute some stories out there. We are talking about census that's going to happen in a few months. So first of all, they're responding to this audio tape that's gone viral. That's asking Muslims in Nigeria that the census is a way of them to canvass information on their religious information and their affiliations. And then they are now in the video is telling Muslims not to be part of this census or resist anything that has to do with questions about their religion. So MPC is saying, I have to just read exactly. They said, for the avoidance of doubt, the Commission wishes to state unequivocally that 2023 population and housing census will not canvass questions on religion and religious affiliations of respondents. The decision to exclude religion along with ethnicity from the census questionnaire, was taken in due consideration of the sensitive nature of these issues within the Nigerian polity and the need to save the census data from needless controversies and attention. So they know us Nigerians, and they're doing all their best to make sure that we have no reasons to mistrust them and mistrust the agenda or the purpose of the census. Is really to get our information for our own development. So if you have any worries concerning religion or ethnic issues, they've said, put your mind at ease. That's not what we're interested in.
Can you remember how many billion they've earmarked for that?
800 and something billion. They had actually gotten 42% already, and they're hoping to get that.
Yes, and they're hoping that Nigerians can
across the country.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
They need 800 billion, or they have already.
No, they
need.
They've got.
They've only got to 42%. They've only got to 42%
of that amount.
So the other percentage, they're hoping that all of us can help us.
Okay, maybe then all those people can help.
Vanguard polls. DSS confirms plots to install interim government. BVN fraud. PAP probes 513 ex-agitators linked to 1,370 accounts. Ascribing ethno-religious motives to obedient movements will fail, says Obi. Bandits execute 5 of 60 abducted villagers in Niger. 82,000 Nigerian women die yearly from pregnancy-related complications, says UNICEF. Tinubu's victory rift in Afenifere as Fashion Royalty falls Adebanjo. U.S. hikes student, tourist, and visa fees by 15%. APC governors express confidence in Tinubu's ability to turn Nigeria around. And Buhari swears in ex-IGP Arashi as Chairman, Police Service Commission. Please. Let me start with the United States visa increase, because that one many Nigerians are concerned about jackbuying. So the B1, B2 visa, according to the United States consulate, have increased from $160 to $185. And according to them, this is clearly just for the fees of the visa. They also said that the immigrant visa for the HLOPQR categories have also increased from $190 to $205, while the treaty trader, treaty investor, and treaty applicants have gone from 205 to 313, and this is effective. These increases are published in the Federal Register on March 28th and will be effective May 30th, 2023. So those are the new costs, and says they are actually specifically based on actual costs of providing the NIV services and are determined after conducting a study of the cost of these services. Okay. So all you Jackbarians.
If they refuse you the visa, will they give you your money back?
Of course not. YK, this is
still discussed. It's a major issue.
That has never been refunded. YK.
It hasn't been refunded for any other. They should refund like 50% or something since it did not go through. Please, I'll take the story of a BVN fraud that was uncovered by the Office of the Presidential Amnesty Program. Apparently, about a few people, some people did not get their funds, only for them to discover when they investigated that 513 names were linked to 1,370 accounts. Each month they are getting 65,000 naira as stipends, and one person had 30 names attached to his BVN. So we're seeing a bit of a benefit of having BVN, but 30 names had been receiving money. That's 65,000 naira times 30, and it's coming to one person's account. Very, very wrong. Very, very. And there are many other people. No, they couldn't have listed the 513 names, but these are 513 people that are taking the advantage of getting money that belongs to 1,370 people.
We the people.
Money that will have gone around the community.
Government is not providing for the people. You know. That's what happened in Jonathan's time.
Bad. Yes.
Jonathan had the, is it Ewing? Or was that one that was given? Yeah. For young people, they were giving money to youngsters. Guess what? They took the money to jackpot. They used the money to do other things. Some use it judiciously, but others are just so they try to do something. But you see, governance is both ways.
If she does it, I will be shocked.
Anyway, we have to
government. Where did they come from?
Nigerian trip. We have to move on. I'm not sure we have time to. Is there any story that really jumps at you?
Story.
What happened to Diani again?
Anyway,
alone a big.
Did you see the amount of money we are talking about?
We have to go. We have to go.
We can't live alone. Of them alone.
Go on a break. When we come back, what's our hot topic of the day? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
And fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked, and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear.
Ladies and gentlemen, Make welcome pioneer Positive Force member, dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist, Afrobeat historian in her right, and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show Your View, Omoyeni, Yeni, Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power! Ginger,
take it.
Today we'll go here.
Hey, I didn't read you.
Are you sure?
Ha. I'm not here to answer questions. I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
Wait till your age.
I was close now.
I
said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75. Fellas wasn't even born in 75.
So will I drink half?
You go drink. Take. Make I help you. Russian.
Not be half.
Which half? You will make me drink. I'll give you a hint.
Lights in no. Nepa Road. Nepa Road in Abeokuta.
First of all, my brain cannot memorize everything.
A big black bug.
A big black dog.
Bug. A big black bug.
Oh, sorry. A big.
It don't start.
Ọmọ fẹlá. Ọmọ Anikulapo Kuti. Wọ́n rò pé kí ni kékeré yìí.
It's by Audison. It's not by Audison.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to La General, the one and only Pere Egbe. Which of the following is false about teeth? We are born with 20 primary teeth. Teeth are the hardest substance in the body. Teeth are the strongest bones in the body.
Teeth is not a bone, actually.
Teeth can self-repair.
The strongest bone in the body, no. Teeth is not a bone.
Final answer?
Teeth is not a bone. You know what came to my head now? That sound. Crickets.
So, editor, you can put that cricket sound there. You can still put it down too.
When was the first Gulda ultimate search? Editor?
Don't put any cricket sound. I'm talking. Okay, Pere. How many times has Ghana qualified for the World Cup?
5 times. Hey, you can't do that now.
That's what it is.
Wait. Calm down. Why are you like this?
This is your team.
Small play now.
They will not
Somebody cannot play with you again.
They will not be impressed though. The team that you're supporting. And
Ghana will be alright.
Yeah, that's last.
Charlie? Cheers, Charlie.
Ladies and gentlemen, who can make time stand still forever? Mr. Kelechi Amadi. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, my brother.
You love that intro, Abi?
Yeah. It was great.
Okay.
Thank you.
We try like that.
Thank you.
Now my question, which I feel is a cheap question.
Oh, go ahead.
What does ISO stand for?
That is it. I think I'll drink.
No, you're joking.
I'm not joking.
Kelechi Amadi. No. Shay, you didn't whine me. You're whining me now.
I think I'll drink. Huh? No problem.
Okay.
I've always known it as ISO. I never bothered to know what it means. I know what it means, but I never bothered to know what the acronym is. Tell me the brand of camera that I use, so much so that I even became an ambassador. That's very easy. It's out there.
It's supposed to be,
yeah. I just said, let me give you this one as a token of my appreciation.
Sony.
Drink!
I'm not done. You did not say final answer.
Final answer.
You did not ask me if that was my final answer.
You don't have any choice again. It's only
Nikon.
how many cameras do they have? My
Nikon.
friend to drink. I gave you a very easy something.
Nikon now.
Thanks for staying with us. Many have said that Nigerians are one of the most religious people in the world, and because of our continuous belief in our continuous approach in shelving things of real life issues, we usually try to shelve them for the spiritual part of it, because we believe that the spiritual controls the physical, and that's what we've been taught, and that's what we believe in. However, issues have been raised in people's decision on seeking either medical care at the right time or truly activating their faith. There's that line that we need to understand how to educate Nigerians on choosing the right approach in different areas. As Christians, for example, we believe in faith, we believe in trusting God, but sometimes medical science will tell you, in this situation, you must seek medical attention. There have been different stories going on social media where a very popular minister of God was talking about how she almost had a miscarriage, and she was spotting, and then her husband came in, of course, activated faith, and he told her clearly that she cannot have a miscarriage because he believed and trusted that God would save the baby. And she went right back into the kitchen to cook. And then that message that usually would inspire many people to activate their faith, others have interpreted that as saying that we are reiterating the need for Christians or anybody to have a potential medical issue, and instead of them going to church, instead of them going to the hospital, they rather continue, activate their faith, or believe that the pastors or God will heal them. That's on one hand. There's the other story of another woman who said that her aunt had cancer and she refused to go to the hospital. In fact, she hadn't been properly diagnosed, so she was trusting God for a miracle and kept using the anointing oil from the pastor, from God, trusting that she'll be healed. And one day her mother had to go in and barge in and push the door open, say, you cannot just stay here. You have to seek medical help. At that time, she was very frail. Took her to the hospital. Thank God she was treated, but within a year she had died because she had breast cancer. So these are situations where we need to discuss, what are your options? What are your thoughts on this? How do we decide where to activate our faith, which we believe in, and where do we say it's time to seek medical attention? That's our conversation, because Nigerians and our people continually need reorientation, education, and enlightenment in various areas of life. Let's call, you can call us on our screen, 0812705367, 0913907698. You can also tweet to us at TVC. Can I please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets? Let me come to you. I mean, we've all faced these scenarios where, we truly believe that God is the healer and is the ultimate healer, and that's the truth, But some will say that this same God have also equipped the doctors to treat, so we should also seek that as one of our options. What are your thoughts? Let me start with you, Tokwe. At what point do you think that we should seek medical attention versus activating our faith?
I don't even know. I don't think there's a line in between. So for me, I go to a church that my pastor is very rational about taking advantage of technology that God has given. It's a God-given gift to take advantage of technologies. But there are several testimonies people have shared. Someone will say, somebody said I wasn't pregnant, it was fibroid, I did not remove the fibroid, and I gave birth to a baby girl. I would have removed the baby girl. We hear this testimonies. Somebody is bleeding, and I put my hand on my stomach, and the bleeding stopped, and then I gave birth to a child. So after I had my twins, I waited 3 years, and I said, I'm ready to, I took out the family planning. Even before taking it out, I prayed. I started eating healthy, took out family planning, prayed, named my child, prayed, and then I got pregnant. So I felt like divine.
Yes.
And as I got pregnant, all the symptoms, I was vomiting, which is my usual. I could not eat. I was so frail. Perfect. We'll soon get over it in first trimester. So I went for scan at 12 weeks or thereabouts. And they said, there's a sac, but there's no baby. And I was like, no. I removed the family planning. I prayed. I have been eating healthy. I have symptoms. He said it's called blighted ovum, that they would advise I do evacuation. I took the report. I said, this is not my report. This is not the report. When they say in church, whose report would you believe? I will believe the report of the Lord. So, and we have a pregnancy fellowship in my church. I went to fellowship, and there are several testimonies of fellowship. So I prayed, and I was still having symptoms. I said, let me go and do a stronger prayer. So I went to MFM, booked a room, sat down in the room and prayed, quoted all the scriptures quotable. Right inside the premises of MFM, I started spotting. Because I was still thinking, at least I'm not seeing blood, so the pregnancy is there. My dear sisters and sisters in the Lord, I spotted all the way home, went to the hospital and had the evacuation done. And a few months after, I got pregnant again and had my son, baby, Samuel. Okay. So I realized that sometimes, and at a point in that praying and all of that, and I saw blood, I just had to tell God, like, see, you are still God. If this blighted ovum comes, if I see the blood, you will still remain God in the situation, and I would just go to the hospital because I started feeling serious stomach cramps. But I allowed faith I was using faith and all of that. And so somebody would say, I did not have enough faith. I've shared the story somewhere. Somebody was like, your faith was not strong enough. If your faith was strong enough, you would have been able to overcome. And people will start victim shaming the person who is going through a challenging health situation. It is extremely bad for someone for God to have given us the intelligence to produce technology, produce medical interventions, and we would not take advantage of it, and we lose lives because we are forming. I am trusting God. God has given us technology. I would say take advantage. Yeah,
I mean, let me come to you, Mary, because these are hard conversations to have, especially as a Christian. When you know that you have to trust God in the most. I have also heard testimonies. I have an aunt. She's probably even watching. She had a set of twins without a womb, and she has shared it publicly. Her womb was removed.
So what?
So
Miracle.
She had a set of twins. I mean, it's public. I mean, she's been on the show. She's been on my IG live, and she's somebody a lot of people know, you know. And she had the twins, and I was there with her, and we and those boys, the boy and the girl, they are grown now. They are 20s. They are older now. So we've seen miracle happen. It's happened. So when we see that, we trust. Even the most difficult decisions in situations that God will do it. But where do we know when to seek medical intervention?
See, this question you have asked me is the hardest because, like you, I have seen miracles happen. There are miracles that have happened in my life. And, you know, when you see that, then it feels like you're doing something wrong when you say to people who now have faith over something that in your own mind you're thinking, why can't you be rational about it and go to the hospital? Because they can even use your own miracle to say, but this happened for you, you have talked about it before. But I will still say, let's, in the matter of health, go to the hospital. And I also believe that God is in science and in technology. I also feel that that's another type of miracle. And I know that even in hospitals, miracles happen. But don't be at home and refusing all medical attention because, you know, you have faith. See, for me, it's a heavy topic to discuss. I remember then my mom used to have this car. I forgot it. We even had a name for the car. And sometimes this car will just pack up. And my mom will lay hand on that car and the car will get up, you know, will start. And we laugh now because then my mom had minimal resources. But now she has more resources. All she has to do is just all these mechanically come and take this thing away. I mean, that's another form of miracle. But so then, is it that really that the car was really gone? Maybe he still had some juice and she just assumed that her prayer worked. But what if it's her prayer that worked? Because God saw, you know, that this woman, there are just too many things on her plate right now. This car cannot be a problem right now, and I've sorted it out. So I think for everyone, just do what you strongly believe in. The one thing that comes to conversations like this is that in hindsight, we say, you should have known better, you should have just gone to the hospital.
But you see, there's a part where maybe something happened to you, you got sick, right? And you go to the hospital. But in a situation where you trust, you know that this is a demonic attack.
Right.
This one is not Konshojulaso, as Nigeria Yoruba says. One small headache, Konshojulaso. I know somebody, every small thing like this, somebody is attacking somebody. You know, there's always one demonic. So in this situation, you know that it's not about medical help. It's not what the doctor is going to give you, because sometimes you go to the hospital, they give you all the medication, they give you all the diagnosis, and yet the person is still sick. But you know that there are some problems. It is through prayer and fasting. It is through certain kind of things you must do to get healing. That's the reality. YK, let me come to you. I know none of this is still very, it's in your purview. But
this conversation, I will just break it down like this. The Creator made everyone in the Creator's image. So we are like the image of the Creator.
That's the Bible, yeah. I think what's Bible?
It's your Bible, yeah.
I'm just telling you that you're quoting your Creator from the Bible, but go ahead.
This is what you believe, and I've quoted it for you. When you take your child, you know, to your child that doesn't know about God, you are God to your child because you are the be-all and end-all of that child's life. And you take your child to school, what do? You leave him with the teacher, him or her with the teacher. The child will be crying, no, mommy. You must go and you will study that study. I will come and pick you later. So you have given the person that has the power to teach your child how to teach your child. The same way the Creator has given the doctors that knowledge. Go and study. Go. So when you are sick, go to the doctor. You are not going to, that's not the work he gave the pastors. He gave the pastors the work or to help you spiritually, yes, to help you to keep your faith. So, and to be faithful to whatever religion you believe in, whatever religion.
That's wisdom, YK. And I think but the pastors too are equipped to help with deliverance when there's a demonic attack. Because usually demonic attacks usually come in the form of illnesses. Illnesses. But we'll talk about that after the break, because I know this is a very difficult conversation to have because we're all Christians and we're believers here. But when we come back, we'll continue this and take some phone calls. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Ask questions. And if it's something that I saw coming, I may not even ask questions. I may just I may even tell you I saw this.
What if it's in person? But then would it make a difference where? So like this person might just say, you people can just be on 3rd Mainland Bridge. On a bike. And the person say, babe, I cannot do it again. And you lose range. So what would change the scenario for, like, does it matter where? Do you want to have like a fancy dinner like the film you were mentioning?
No, like finding up you, right?
Or do you want to be on the street?
No, carry me go fancy dinner.
Or you might just una dey run for treadmill.
Or you na dey jog.
You tell you lose for your web.
Now I don't turn attempted murder.
So which would it be? Because I'm like, in person you have the closure that you want and the few injuries.
Guys. That's one place. It could be inside the car. You can sit inside the car.
Why car? Why not bike?
Who will be driving?
Why bike?
Who will be driving at this point?
The car will be stationary.
Pray I'm not the one driving.
The car will be stationary.
Because I go master. You can't be telling me like me. I'm going to drive near water.
All
you must consider.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still discussing miracles versus medical science, and that's a conversation we're having, because the truth is that miracles do happen. I mean, I have been, trust me, I am a living testimony of several miracles. I remember when I wanted to have children, you know, and wanted to have we had our first child. So we're trusting God for a set of twins. And I just wanted twins. And my husband also wanted twins. So we just didn't really talk about it. And then we went to Daddy's, I think it was his daddy's birthday. I can't remember what year it was. Daddy Gio's birthday. And it was during that period, he was saying, babies, praying for babies. And I lifted my hand with my husband. I said, Father, Lord Almighty, I want a set of twins. I didn't know what he was praying for. I didn't know, he didn't know what I was praying for either. And after the prayers, I asked him, what are you praying for? He said, I'm praying for twins. I said, oh, that's what I prayed for too. And miraculously, the next year, we had a set of twins. So I trust, that's a miracle, but now we're talking about medical science. Now, medical science is now, where even though you're trusting God for a miracle in a certain situation, the question is that, is going to the hospital a the same as not trusting God again.
Yeah, so that what you just said, so that is the real problem. Many people feel like once I go to the hospital, it means I don't trust God, that I'm seeking other alternatives. That's wrong. God performs miracles through medical science. Like, it is, for miracles, the fact that you are healed through using a pill is a miracle. There are miracles through medical science. Miracles happen in several ways. People do IVF, and the IVF has a high failure rate. Yet, the fact that yours went through is a miracle. So, medical science itself is a miracle. God gave it as a miracle to us. People were dying of malaria until somebody performed a miracle of finding about quinine. And then the miracle now became, we've watered down the miracle. But at a point in time in the world, quinine was a miracle. The fact that herb could cure and avoid death was like, this is miraculous. You have performed the miracle. God has sent you to us.
Let me take this call from Pastor Charles from Social Media. Good morning, Pastor Charles. Pastor Charles, are you there? I think I lost him.
Yes. Okay, so I think one of the reasons also people struggle with faith or miracle and science is that we have heard people say the people that perform, that do all this, that have created all these advancements in science and technology are not even Christians. They don't even believe in your God. So you are now taking your own faith that you believe in God to the hands of those that don't even believe in your God. So that's where the dilemma is. Like, I'm leaving those who believe in God to those who do not believe in God because they have something else. And so we think about it as when even us as Africans, when they say, you say you're a Christian, but you're going to go and cook something in a pot and bow before, a shrine. But someone sent a message, says, faith is also believing that science will work for you. After all, we've seen it fail. It says, key verse, Jeremiah 8:22. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then is there no healing for the wound of my people? And because of their unbelief, he couldn't do any mighty miracles amongst them. So just like Tokwe has said, if you believe, your faith also would allow for science to work for you. After all, science, they will deploy all the scientific things and you still not work for something.
Let me share you a funny story. So when I got pregnant for my twins, I saw my husband were trusting that there were 2 boys.
Okay.
So we prepared the names Michael and Gabriel. So we're so excited to have 2 boys. We trusted God that 2 boys. We went to my aunties that had 2 boys. We asked them to lay hands on my tummy. There are 2 boys. I went to church. Pastor laid hands. We did all the Christian things we do, trusting God, praying. So when the sex, I know after a few months, you can now check the sex. The doctor said, it's a boy and a girl. We said, reject it in Jesus' name. We reject it. We kept rejecting it. The doctor told us, boy, he said we rejected it. So when it was about a month to the delivery, I was just going for a checkup. Because after the first time we heard that it's a boy and a girl, we didn't ask again. We don't want to know. We just don't ask any doctor anything. Let's just trust God that 2 boys, trusting 2 boys. So when it was like a month to, we're hoping that by then God will have done the miracle. So I said, sir, so what is it, boy and a girl? Is it 2 boys? He said, sir, is it 2 boys? He said, no, it's a boy and a girl. He said, no, sir. For that, I reject it. Sir, it is 2 boys. He said, ma, you can reject it all you want. What me I'm seeing, it's a boy and a girl. I said, sir, I am also telling you that God has told me that it's 2 boys. So don't tell me the report I don't want. I was there fighting with the guy. Until when the babies now came, we had prepared Michael and Gabriel. So we're ready for, so the first child came Michael. Waiting for Gabriel.
You had Michelle.
You know, Gabriella.
So in fact, was when the baby was coming out, when that was a girl. I had to call mommy. Which name are you going to give this one? Because they now give us Michelle. But the point is that sometimes we trust God to the point where we think that, but we're not God's mind. We don't know what God has in store for us. So we keep thinking that it is where we want, and God would give us.
So you have been talking about your miracles. I Googled the Nigerian doctor, Dr. Olayinka Olutoye, the trailblazer who performed the radical operation on an unborn fetus in America. That is what you call a miracle.
That's a miracle.
That can be.
For the mother of that baby, he had a rare disease, and the doctor performed that miracle on that. She will forever say it is a miracle. And I think that the Creator, the forces, used him to perform that miracle.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap up on this. Let's take the comments and let me take a call. Okay, let me take this call. Comes to Yakub. Are you there?
I'm there, right?
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning to everyone in the studio.
Good morning.
I think we are talking about religion, spirituality, and health. Mariah, I think earlier you mentioned attacks, if I don't make a mistake, or demon or something. You see, you can get miracle from anywhere. It is not particular, it is not still down to church or to mosque alone. I have, let me share experience with you this morning. Some time ago, I left my house in the morning to my working place. Getting there, after like 2 hours, I don't feel okay. I feel like, what is wrong with me? And I said, okay, maybe I have a sleepless night that I needed to sleep. I go back home to go and have a sleep. I got back home, I couldn't sleep. I said, okay, what next? I went to one notable hospital in Dr. here. I wouldn't like to mention the name. So one big hospital here. One getting there, the doctor said that he needed to admit me. And then I was admitted in that hospital. I spent 1 week. The second week, what is wrong with me, it was not, there's not any changes. It was to work. And I called the doctor, what is really wrong with me? The doctor, you know how they are doctor now, he brings all these big drama. I said, okay, what did I need to do? You know that I now call one of my friends, come, I've been sick for the past 2 weeks. And then I'm here in hospital, there's not any changes. He said that I should give him like 2 or 5 minutes. After this guy called me back, he said, what are you doing in hospital? It's better you left that hospital now immediately. I said, okay, I called my brother. I couldn't even move. If I want to eat myself, I couldn't see. Anytime I want to eat myself, my eyes will blind. You get it? So I moved from that hospital. I got home. Do you know that my friend now saying something? Something like looking like a powder. Morayo, I'm heading to something. He now told me I should use that powder like this. But when I apply this very particular powder thing, I don't know what is made up of that powder. It is like that powder is what makes what is wrong with me. And then immediately after I use it, within 1 hour, what is wrong with me for over 2 weeks that doctor cannot be able to ascertain my illness. It is vanished. That is part of miracle. And then I pray, it can lead me to where I made a call.
Thank you, Yakub. So that powder worked, right? What he said. But see, now that brings me to another conversation where our herbs, our natural offerings here in Africa can also help us. Yes, and that's part of medical science, because even the medical science, some of them depend on the herbs from all over the world to help heal people. But the point is that there are Nigerians who still believe that medical science should be the last resort. Their first point of call, first is the church or is the religion or the mosque. After that is the religious body, the traditional healers. That's the next one. They say the tesalebo. The tesalebo, as in once the tesalebo doesn't happen, you now take it to medical science. Tesalebo is tesalebo. You use the traditional means. Because so we are here talking as if, you just go to the hospital. Many people don't just go to the hospital.
I would have thought it was the other way around. That people will first go to the hospital, then when the hospital cannot explain it, then they label.
I will give you my sister's experience. We did medical, and the doctors, as I've said many times here, they did rubbish. And we now took her to a herbalist after. And he said he couldn't do anything. He said because they had already cut her open. So there was nothing he could do. And he sent us away. So maybe that is why some people try the medicine as the last option.
Yes.
Because sometimes when...
There's a principle to do the traditional one. Yes. So you don't want to have messed up with that principle to get there.
Let me take Pastor Charles. Good morning, Pastor Charles. You're live. Hello?
Good morning.
You're live. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. I want to contribute to...
Please do.
Yeah, discussion this morning. Yeah, I want to summarize it. Yeah, I want to summarize it this way.
You're listening to yourself on TV. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, okay. Don't demonize doctors and don't make doctors your God.
Okay.
Both valid.
Right?
You're listening to the TV. He's not used to calling. So when you call in, talk to me directly, not the TV. TV is delayed.
So I like what he said. Don't demonize doctors and don't make them your God. They are a tool. They are a useful tool that God has provided for us. It's like saying, when people talk about it, it's like saying I don't want to drive a car because in the Bible times people were using horses, or I don't want. They were walking on their feet. The truth is, technology has been researched to make our lives easy. God did not give us a table. He gave us trees. God didn't give us clothes. He gave us leaves, and we now use the leaves to create cotton, and then we made clothes and created fabrics. So for everything we were given in raw form, our job was to create miracles that would have been a big deal then. Clothes would have been a big deal then, and then it now becomes a normal thing. Let's take advantage of science and...
Right, we're going to wrap up now. Let's take a few quick comments and we'll wrap up on this.
Yes, HOB Bam Badi says, April 2000, while in Bible school at Wolf B, Winners Chapel, my Benz 250 ran out of fuel and I was very rich, meaning Nigerian way of saying I wasn't rich. I dipped my finger in water, I had a drop of blood of Jesus water into the fuel tank, moved my car with faith. I used the car for 1 full week. That's his own miracle. And Yaro says there's a connection between your beliefs and your sense of well-being. Positive beliefs, comfort and strength gained from religion, meditation,
when your car runs out of fuel,
and prayer can contribute to well-being. Yes. It may even promote healing.
Sorry, Miriam.
Yes.
We will just drive a...
That's his goal.
The things of God is
they don't have work here again, no.
Yeah. The things of God like foolishness to those of you that don't believe. We understand, and we don't expect you to understand.
I'm believing with all of you. But all of you like this.
Don't buy petrol again.
You will not buy petrol again. In fact, NNPC is null and void now.
That's not how miracles work. Miracles is supposed to surprise and shock people. It's not about how it will be like.
Going back to what Tools said, let's not forget what Tools was saying, because Pastor Mrs. Oyedepo's testimony was valid. And what Tools was also saying is that there are a lot of women that will listen and say, okay, once I'm bleeding, even though I'm bleeding, instead of me to start rushing to spend X amount of money in the hospital, because cost is another factor. Cost. Miracle is free. Cost is another issue that I'll say, I don't want to go to the hospital. Father, I am believing that this bleeding will stop and my baby will still be alive. So that's where Tools is saying that some people who should ordinarily automatically go to the hospital won't, because they want to also believe. And so that's the real conversation. I don't want us to really trivialize this conversation. It's a real conversation, because shouldn't I trust my mother in the Lord's testimony and hold on to that testimony for my own testimony?
So let me tell you, what we're afraid to say here is that there's no how you believe in miracle and then believe and faith and also believe that there's the science and going to church. You have to choose. But that's the thing, and many of us don't want to make that choice or make it publicly. We don't want to say the fact that is, I would rather go to the hospital. I trust the hospital because there is science, there's fact, there's things that have shown over data that have shown over time that this has worked over and over and over again. A miracle is your own interpretation. Maybe if I were to put it, a scientist was to look through it, he could have explained that spotting wasn't really spotting. Maybe you had a nick somewhere and happened. There's so many reasons. But if you now go and say, I am going the way of faith and miracles, then there's no how you can also believe
Miriam, do you know that
you just jump to the church,
to hospital. If you are having a miscarriage and you go to the hospital, they will send you home. They will tell you that there's nothing they can do.
Okay.
Because once you're having a miscarriage, you will have that miscarriage. They will send you home. I know, because my daughter has had. If the baby now stays, yes, you can call it a miracle. Because medically, there is nothing. If you're having a...
Okay, YK, what of the part where, just like going by what Miriam said, if I say I'm going to go by the miracle part, and I stand by it, I know there's a medical option, and I choose to stand and activate my... No, wait, hear me out. If I say, you know what, I choose to activate my faith and trust, whatever happens, baby survives, baby doesn't survive, I trust that regardless, the will of God will prevail. So don't fault me for saying I don't want to go to the hospital to save this baby. I want to go, I want to believe and activate my faith. If God says my baby, fine. If God doesn't say my baby, so be it. That was not his will. And I stand by that. Isn't that something also acceptable? Can the state therefore prosecute me for not going to the hospital because to save that child? I mean, these are things that we see abroad where
children don't allow children get blood transfusion because of religion and the child dies.
Yes.
People that they could have just given them a liter of blood would have saved their lives. And then you say, my religion.
So that's somebody's right. It's your right to choose the religion you want to believe in. It's your right to say, I want to go by my faith. I don't want to go medical. So can we therefore respect people's choices that this person does not want blood transfusion? Respect it and let them be.
Please, Adiola Kazib says, I nursed wound on my leg for 5 years when I was in Nigeria, thinking it was a spiritual attack. Then I went to the UK and the wound healed within 2 weeks.
What healed it?
I don't know. Fresh air.
You see, that's why I brought miscarriages. It's a different if you need a blood transfusion. And you say, oh, I'm not going to do the blood transfusion because I believe. And then the person now loses their life, or the child loses their life, and then...
It was their choice.
Because you have chosen, and then you start going, God, why did you do this to me? No, it's God's wish. No, it's not God's wish to kill your child.
Exactly.
It was your neglect.
Exactly.
So we have to, let us, please, break it down.
There are many perspectives.
But you know, that's a valid perspective. But that scenario, I've heard of scenario where people would go the way of science and medicine. So then maybe you lose someone. Yeah. What will happen is people will say, but you did not pray about it. If you had prayed this way, I'm just saying you did not fast. You unbelievers, that's what happens because you don't trust in God.
Let's go on a break. I wanted to wrap this thing up because I don't think we can adequately finish this conversation. But there's no answer to this. Yes. Let's wrap it up when we come back. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Not just want to work with.
Yes, that's on that angle.
So Laifa had a very, very interesting...
You wouldn't want to work with who?
There's no judgment.
No, and I respect,
they'll judge you definitely,
respect
but we won't
this
judge
certain
you.
type of people. But what I dislike so much is when they tend to come to work and then they pour all their
resentment
on you. Is it me that offended you? I'm not the one. I have no business. Mom, just come and work with you, pay me at the end of the month, and let me go back to my house in peace and sleep. But when it comes to like divorced people, I cannot work with a divorcee. I can't see myself doing that. If I find out, if you can hide it, but if I find out,
when they are nice divorcees,
I would just.
What if they are nice?
Okay, now it depends. If you are nice, cool. But if you are the type that you don't know how to keep your anger to yourself, you always pour it on somebody. Well, I'll not drop my resignation letter, no matter the amount you're paying me.
So it's more passive-aggressive people.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, definitely.
And I cannot work with stingy people.
See this one.
Because you cannot be passing me in the morning, afternoon. I can say, oh, yeah, I'm working. Oh, yeah, take 100 naira, take 10K, take 15K. You don't have to be my sugar daddy or sugar mommy. See, the way you treat others is the way they will treat you outside. Yeah. And if you cannot treat your workers well, they are not a good boss. If you cannot be dashing me small thing or giving me donuts when I'm working, you are not a good boss.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the grand comedian of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Gbenga Adeyinka the First. OJ right here, 7 of 7, like you already know.
Gbenga right here, 7 of 7, like I'm beginning to know.
It's now time for the questions.
You don't scare me one bit. Bata, I go drink. So.
Okay. So now one chance for enter. My first question. Do you remember the names of the winners of that edition of StarQuest?
Of course I do.
Why do you?
And I hate myself for this. Because I have this question for you. Final question. No. Where outside Nigeria and what year? I think you're the only one that can be wicked.
I am thinking, because I know back in the day...
Don't think. Answer my question quick. You are thinking too much. I don't like it.
The UK.
Final answer. Okay. I said, God, please, let me to perform outside Nigeria.
Wait.
And God gave me a show in Ghana. Drink, my friend, drink. I don't
overthink this thing. See where I can.
Yes, you overthink them.
I would say you should catwalk.
Let's catwalk. Where are we?
No, that's not catwalking.
That's good walking.
Thanks for staying with us. So as we're wrapping up on this topic, let's take a few comments on social media. Yes, Mariam.
Busolami Ogundoli says, I suffered with diabetes for years, believing God for divine healing. Daddy Gio laid hands on me, but by my faith, just as Mariah believed for twin boys, was that I will be healed divinely. But God did my miracle through medical science. 2 organs transplant within 3 months on waiting list. That's how he got his own miracle. Emmanuel said, okay, you would like
I was going to talk about Nima called us during the break.
Yes, she was talking about her own miracle too. Yeah, she had thought that she was going to lose. In fact, she had lost a lot of blood, almost looking like a baby blood. So she, in her own mind, she had lost the baby, and then she had to go to the hospital, where she was put on bed rest for a few months. Eventually, the baby came.
So the miracle happened.
So in the hospital, her own miracle happened in the hospital. Then she was, even though she wasn't praying about it. It just so happened that God just saved her through the. So miracles can come directly through the medical science, from God through the medical science. That's how
medical science would not work without the fact that medical science works. Is that it's a miracle in itself, and until we stop that. Until we draw the line, Mariam was saying that there's this invisible line, like if you go to the hospital, it means you don't trust God. If you trust God, you will not go. That line should not exist in people's minds.
Well, many Christians have accepted the fact that if I go to the church and I trust God, if it doesn't happen here,
go to the hospital.
It's okay, I'm fine. Whatever happens to me there
is wisdom. You will not by yourself. Jesus, in tempting Jesus, they did not say Jesus should. The devil said Jesus should jump down. The angels will catch him when he jumps down. Of course, the angels can catch Jesus when he came down, but he wouldn't tempt God. So it's like you deliberately tempting God and saying, I know I am sick, there is a condition that is going on, I will refuse medical help because I want to just trust God. That's tempting God. For me, I have been in a situation where they told me, and you don't do anything. Oh, your PCV is very low, you are expecting twins, you are going to have blood transfusion. I saw the PVC, I knew I had a month before my pregnancy. Beetroot, vegetables, ugu. I was drinking ugu in the morning, beetroot in the afternoon. I did all of that. 2 weeks after, I went to check. It had improved. So I took intelligent steps that God has provided about science. And I didn't have to get blood transfusion. I did the work. And if by a week before giving birth,
that's not a miracle.
My blood was still... It's still a miracle because it worked for me.
That's not a miracle. I know we would like to say, but that's not the miracle. Because in explaining science to be miracle, right? Yeah. It's politically correct. It's good. It's Christianly correct. It makes us feel good. But the way miracles are explained is that it defies logic. It defies rationality. It does not make sense. It should not have happened. You know, you look up, you look down, and it's just hanging in the air. How did this happen? So that's a miracle.
A womb.
Yes. So that's a miracle. So when we say So for many Christians, like when you now explain science as a miracle, then you are taking away from that
power.
Do something in my life that will shock me. Hey, when we talk about miracles, that's not what we say.
Yeah.
Something so amazing that the world will be in awe. Like, how did this happen?
They should just.
But that cannot be for everybody now.
That would be a miracle.
Jesus did not heal all the sick people during his time.
Let me take Toby from the UK. Good morning, Toby. Are you there? Oh, Sugar, I'm so sorry about
Let's
that.
get rid of NMPC.
Emmanuel here says,
let's take a few more comments.
Emmanuel says there's a clear correlation between religion and poverty and underdevelopment. Here, it is the opium that far too many here have overdosed on. Religion is easy to sell as there's no burden of proof anywhere. Imagine making all sorts of illogical claims without having to prove anything.
Let me take this. Corey Michael says, do you know how many gullible people have died because of pastors? Many women have lost their lives during labor. The doctor will advise them to for cesarean surgery that is needed, and they will say no. Another person said it's financial. And I'll just say this. I know someone that just gave birth recently, and they had to do CS. It was last minute, and they were praying, but the prayer was because it was going to cost them 350,000 naira to pay for the CS, and they didn't have it because they were praying and hoping for natural vaginal birth. But they had to do the CS because the baby would have died without that CS. And so the prayer was not out of, I want a miracle. It's the fact that I cannot afford this option.
So my church, for example, RCCG, we have like little hospitals. Even there was one in Ketu here, where it's very affordable because they realized that people were bringing their babies. I mean, when I was pregnant with twins, I was getting advice, you should go and give birth in camp. Go and give birth in camp. And they expect, so they have to start creating special hospitals for people like that because people just want to believe that when I'm on that campground, that's where I would not need a CS, that God would let these babies come out like the Hebrew women. So again, churches also have tried to help build small hospitals to accommodate these people. But the truth is that we must educate people. That there's nothing wrong in having faith. However, you must also know that medical science is available to you. And I think, however, if you insist that you're trusting God wholeheartedly, then people should accept
God's will for you.
Yes. So you accept it.
Yes. So the faith is not that this is what I want and exactly as I want it, God will do it. Yeah. Sometimes you have to say, okay, beyond what I want, may your will be done. Simple. Are we ready for may your will be done? That's
the way it goes.
Sunday from Alagbado, you're live. Go ahead, please. Oh, I'm so sorry for keeping you.
Tolu says, let's not forget God puts physical and spiritual laws in place. Miracle is suspending those physical laws. Hence, miracle is at God's discretion, not at your plea, not at your begging, not at the level of your faith. So people have they have little faith. Bible said, even Jesus said, as little as a mustard seed, you can make miracles happen. So you'll be wondering why some people have this huge faith and total submission to God, and then they lose their lives or they lose their child and they lose some things. Okay. It's at God's discretion.
Let me wrap up on this so that we can move on to another topic. But I think Bisi was saying, there's a comment from Bisi there. Okay. But I think in a nutshell, the point is, either way, medical science is there for us. And if you're trusting faith, like you want to say something.
I just wanted to give you the meaning of miracle. An extraordinary event taken as a sign of the supernatural power of God. An extremely outstanding or unusual event, thing, or accomplishment. And
in Jesus' times, the medical science we have, the surgeries we have seen will be seen as a serious miracle. For them, it defies all possibilities because their mind hasn't expanded to the point that you can have a CS.
Yeah. I know we have let me give you one example of that. We used to have a farm where we keep cattle. And my grandma was at home. Then phones had just come in, so we went to the farm. We took a video of us on the farm. I showed my grandma. My grandma was like, this tiny thing. Yeah. This tiny thing took this video and you brought it and I can see exactly what you did. It blew her mind. She could not understand it. But she did not say God is wonderful. She was like, oh, Turawa, as in white people. These white people are amazing.
In fact, I need to dig up a video. Momo is 90, she's going to be 98 this year. Momo traveled, when she was, I think 92 or when she was 92 years or something. And she was entering the place like, when you both right. When you both right. That's what she was saying to Shelana. When you both right. But her mind was just blown. She went back. She traveled alone in the plane by herself. She couldn't speak a word of English. We had to hand her over to the air hostess to take her. So she landed in Michigan. But the point is that, listen, as the time goes, miracles, what is a miracle to us now will be normal to our great-grandchildren. Like, to them, it's like, Yeah, you can see mommy's in London and she's sitting right here in front of me. It's okay, it's normal for them, but for us it's still a miracle.
To walk to America.
Exactly, that time.
Another 100 years.
That is all we can take on this topic. Let us drop it because we have agreed that this is a very difficult.
That miracle should come now.
Can I wrap up?
Sorry. Wrap up.
I know, she said
I think we need to
and lose weight. That miracle.
Hallelujah.
we want that miracle.
Okay, I'm told I have one final call. I wanted to do a topic, but go ahead. Good morning, are you there?
Hi, good morning.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Welcome to the show. You like bright and happy colors. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, it's a pleasure getting through today. Okay, I went talking about miracles. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Talking about miracles, I've got a miracle that happened with me. My first child was by here. By the time I was 10 months later, I had an ectopic that went so wrong that for about a year, I couldn't actually have contact with my husband. It was really bad. And then trusting God for baby, sometime in 2016, I got pregnant. I was actually not expecting it, but it happened. So I remember going to camp in August of that year, you know, with heavy pregnancy and with prayers and all that. And behold, I was still waiting. And remember, my case was a case even right from, because my first day, ectopic happened while I was in the UK. So my case was a case of when coming back to Nigeria, it was in my record that I couldn't have natural birth. So I remember going into the into the labor room, and I had my auntie with me. And the doctor was telling me, "Madam, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be in the theater." And I just had my auntie shout, "Abby, you can do this." You know, and all I said was, "God, I just need that mustard seed faith." And in less than 30 minutes, my son came forth. You know, so I want to say, yes, there are miracles. But, you know, it's a miracle to even have science work for us. Thank you very much.
I just got a message here. In fact, I'm not sure I can wrap up this topic because more messages are coming in. I have a message here for saying that my aunt was saying that her son had cancer, brain cancer. And she took her son to the pastor. He laid his hands on her, on the young boy, and the cancer disappeared. These are real life stories, though, not made up. It's not film trick. So that's why, and somebody sent me a message here, and I'm not sure he wants me to mention his name. He says, Mariah, miracle is where science ends and God begins.
I don't like when you put it that way. Do you understand? It's not where God begins, because God is in the fact that the science working for us. It does not matter. Because when we say that's where God begins, then we are invalidating everybody that believes and uses science procedures. But God is in everything. It is at God's discretion to use the spiritual. And it's at his discretion to allow you use the physical. And there are people that they would use that physical, and God is willingly smiling and permitting these physical laws to work for them. But when we say these statements, we make everybody that has pursued physical solutions, scientific solutions to their medical problem look like they did not have faith in God. And that is why people die.
You said that as a good Christian. Because there are atheists. There are atheists that
follow science laws.
That follow science. And in fact, they follow it because they don't want it to have anything to do with this God that you're talking about. And so sorry, let me just end. And so for some of people who have moved from the fact that they didn't believe in God to believing in God is they have used science. Science didn't work for them until a miracle happened, and they're like, I've seen the science. It did not work. This can only be something and a power beyond science. So.
I remember too that my accident, I lost 6 inches. It crushed. The doctor told me, I will never be Dr. Cook in Princeton, the University Teaching Hospital, said, well, I'm not sure you can walk. You know, he was the one that believed in me. The other doctor said that I will never walk again. They told me that because the amount of bone that crushed and they had to suck out of my right thigh was a lot. And they assured me that you can't, there's a strong possibility you cannot walk again. I was on wheelchair for months. But God used one doctor to tell me that he knows I'll walk again. And it took years for healing, eventually walk. And when I remember the first time I took my first step, all my family were all excited for me. So miracles do happen. Science can, but God does things. God can defy all scientific logic to give you a miracle.
At his discretion.
At his own discretion.
Yes.
You have to go in a commercial break.
You don't want. That doesn't mean don't go to hospital.
Exactly.
Go to hospital.
Go to hospital.
Okay, I have to wrap up. Can we finish this topic?
Yes, we are done.
Okay, we're done now.
Let's go on a break and come back. We'll try to hand and do another topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
And ask questions if I want to ask questions. And if it's something that I saw coming, I may not even ask questions. I may just... I may even tell you I saw this.
What if it's in person? But then, would it make a difference where? So like, this person might just say, you people can just be on 3rd Mainland Bridge. On a bike. And the person say, babe, I cannot do it again. And you lose range. So what would change? What would change the scenario? Like, does it matter where? Do you want to have like a fancy dinner, like the film you were meant to be
like funny
or do you want to be on the street?
No, carry me go fancy dinner.
Or you might just una dey run for treadmill.
Or una dey jog.
Don't tell you lose for your web.
Now I don't turn attempted murder.
So which would it be? Because I'm like, in person you have the closure that you want and the few injuries.
Guys, that's one place. It could be inside the car. You can sit inside the car.
Why car? Why not bike?
Who will be driving?
Why bike?
Who will be driving at this
the car will
point?
be stationary.
Pray I'm not the one driving.
The car
Just
will be
pray.
stationary.
Because I go master. You can't be telling me like I'm going to drive near water. You must consider.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome pioneer positive force member, dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist, Afrobeat historian in her right, and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show Your View, Omoyeni, Yeni, Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power! Ginger, today we'll go here.
Hey, I don't read you.
Are you sure?
I'm not here to answer questions, I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
Wait till your age.
I was close now.
I
said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75. Fellas wasn't even born till 75.
So will I drink half?
You go drink. Take. Make I help you. Russian.
No be half.
Which half? You will make me drink. I'll give you a hint.
Lights in no. Nepa Road. Nepa Road.
Thanks for staying with us. So I really tried to end this topic, but I think people still want to talk about it. So let's continue because now I have the caller, Wakil from the UK. Good morning, Wakil. Are you there? You're live. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. Just a quick one. I just want to say two different things. The miracle and the faith or belief are quite different. Like as a Muslim, it's become a sin. Even, if some people think because of your faith, I'm not allowed to drink alcohol, and then you are ill, you'll be offered a medicine that contains alcohol. If you don't take it, it becomes a sin, even if you die. See, that's in Islamic faith. And my own miracle, I want to emphasize it. Sometimes when I believe miracle happens, people are being to hospital. doctor give them, say, oh, it's only got 6 or some hours to live. Then even themselves, for possibly someone pray or people pray or something, the miracle happens, somebody survived beyond that. That's all I want to.
I didn't hear everything. It was a bit muffled. Thank you very much, Wakil. So let's talk about children. It involves children, especially their dependents, and sometimes they don't get to make a decision. So, for example, your parents say, "Oh, we are part of this religion, and you cannot go for medical. You can't when there's an issue with you, we pray about it. We don't go to the hospital." And you start telling children that, because I've seen cases where kids are informed, are told that don't go to, we only pray and we trust God. That's what we do in this family. In that kind of situation where you're faced with a child refusing to take medication, can you call, you know how in abroad you can call the state, you can call government to come and to question the parents. But in Nigeria, Nima is not on the show today. Do we have laws protecting children where in this kind of situation, and what are your thoughts, in fact, that should we pass this on to our children? If it's our faith to believe that in this situation, God heals. And because we have that belief, our children too, at what point do we pass this on to kids?
So I think the children are 100% responsibility of their parents, mainly in Nigeria. In the US, all those other countries, children are ward of state, so the state takes ownership of the child. You are just a custodian of the child, and if the state feels you're not managing the child well, they can take the child away from you. That is not really, it might be legal, it might be the structure in terms of the books in Nigeria, but it's not the practical thing that we see. And I've heard of cases where a child has diabetes, and she was telling a nurse that we don't use drugs in my house. We don't use drugs in my house. We pray, and my daddy will lay hands on us and we'll be healed. And that is the upbringing they are giving this particular child. Now, would he have...
Was that wrong? It's because a family can believe and say that's our belief system, and it works for them. So can somebody...
I'm in that space where I cannot... It's not my place to say what is right or wrong, but my hope is that we don't find ourselves in a case where that mindset leads to the death of someone in that situation. I have, I think this person is from Apostolic Faith Church, and this church here, they don't use drugs, but they are big on eating healthy. They are big on lifestyle. They will tell you to take fruits. They make sure, like it's a thing, it's a culture within the church that you eat healthy. You are constantly doing things that create an environment that helps you to be strong, so that you don't fall ill to the point where you need drugs. So that's their own model of God has given us all the necessary herbs.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they don't. They use what do you call it? She was what I've been about turmeric, about the fact that ginger turmeric can help with reducing blood pressure. They know all the herbs that you can use to help, and it is something that is well circulated within the environment to ensure that our people don't fall that ill. But when we talk about the impact on the child's life, this is a full human being that God has given opportunity to do a whole lot of things on earth, and your decision to stay away from medical science might just be the reason they don't live. I don't think that's a wise decision, personally. But the parent is responsible for the child, and they're able to determine how the person will go ahead with their life.
I even refuse to believe that the parent is the owner of the child. You are still a custodian. It's a human being. A child is a human being. It's not, so you are given, God has given you that child. Better treat it with responsibility of a human being. Don't say because God has said, can you call, then they have given you that thing to look after. If they didn't give you...
Well, the child can go to school.
Okay.
And
let me take this call. Come to you, Mariam. Michael from Lagos Island. Good morning, Michael. You there?
Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
There's a story I want to tell that has to do with something like this. There's this man where I was living one certain time. He was sick. So in the morning, I think he was fighting in his drink from what we gathered. In the morning when he woke up, we tried to rush him to the hospital. His elder brother came. We had already taken him out. His elder brother came, chased everybody and threatened to lock anybody who was involved with his brother, carried his brother back into the room and was praying for almost 6 hours. After he was done praying, he came out. The man had already died. His fist was clenched off. And he just walked out and said, we should come and carry dead body and bury it. So the thing is, it is not wrong believing in God. If there's a way you can make good, go to church, pray. Meanwhile, you can come and pray in the hospital. The doctors are not telling you not to come and pray in the hospital. So
shouldn't that guy be prosecuted?
Yeah, they said he can be arrested. Somebody just posted on...
The elder brother, I don't know what happened to him after that.
Yeah.
Because he said he's his younger brother and he has every right to his brother. He came and prayed at the end of the day.
Thank you, Michael. You see, I mean, as I said, we are evolving as a nation. Other countries we look up to have probably been through this phase where people, the witches are hanged and they perform exorcism. They've had that phase in their life where they believe in demons. But now they've evolved to a nation where the laws can protect you. So now maybe we're not there yet as a nation. So in this kind of situation, this man who went to take his brother and you're praying for him in the car, instead of taking him to the hospital, should be prosecuted.
Yes, I remember when my mom used
to work. Who allows their child to die in the house?
Yes.
Without taking the child to the hospital, should be prosecuted.
Yes, exactly.
Because you are the custodian of that child, not the owner.
So I remember when my mom used to work in the hospital, one of her frustrations would be, you know, there's a certain group of people, Jehovah's Witness. I know that they don't believe in blood transfusion. And I remember, you know, a few times when it would really hurt her, like frustrate her. You know, for her it was black and white. You know, you did not need to think too much about it to make the right decision. But also, she says, when you look at the people making the decision, or parents, it's not coming from a bad place. It's not because we hate our child and want our child to die. It's because of years and years of belief. And this religion has worked for us in so many other ways. Should we now abandon God now because we want to? So she says, you know, it's not like you're talking to someone who has decided to be negligent. You're talking to someone who believes in their faith and believes that if I make the mistake of going off my faith, I will lose my child. If I make a mistake of committing the sin against my faith, I would lose my child. So it's hard to then, yes, the law will go ahead and prosecute you no matter what your intentions are. But, you know, it's hard to call out people who are custodians or parents who you can see that this is being done out of love. And, you know, we're talking about evolution and the role that states should play. Yeah. Yes, we are at the point in time now where it seems that government is on the right side, which is make sure you vaccinate your children, make sure you give, you know, the immunization and everything. Government seems to have the right things in place. But we're also moving into another phase where people are saying, you know what, government is pushing us to give our children a lot of sugar. In our food, in everything we give our children, especially abroad now, they're having this conversation. The school lunches you give our children is not healthy. Our children are eating lots of sugar. I want to take my child out of school. We're going off-grid, where we're living out in nature, so that we protect our child from. And that parent who is doing the right thing now, logically, will be prosecuted. So how far do we want to go? How far do we want the state to go in handling our children's well-being?
Let me take this call. Abosede from Dokwemu, you're live.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
All right. I really want to say that you cannot separate the two from each other. Miracles are, like I will give you an instance. When I was pregnant of my second baby, I had a topic and I bleeded inside 5 gallons of blood. In fact, I left my office. I was supposed to leave my office 4 o'clock. And a guy walked in and told me, he said, I need to pay my bills. And my wife just put to bed, please help me. I didn't know where the guy came from. He just told me, please wait for me. Let me quickly go and get the bill. And I'll come back. And I was waiting for the guy. I was supposed to close and go home. In fact, that morning as I was leaving my house, my son was 1 year and 3 months. And so he was crying. I was so eager to go back home that day. And I was pregnant again. But because of that guy that told me, my wife just put together, I needed to pay this bill. I'm traveling. If I don't pay this bill, they will disconnect my life. So I waited for the guy. And before I knew, I started, my stomach started turning me. And before I knew, I was rushed to the hospital. And I was told in the hospital that it was God that saved me. Before I was taken to the hospital, it took me like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. The guy didn't come back. He If I had not waited for the guy, I would have been in the box when that thing would have happened. Yeah. But I was waiting for that guy, and I believe it was a miracle. Yeah. Because for the guy that kept me in the office, I would have been inside the box, and that would have happened because by the time I got to the hospital, there were 3 doctors that operated me, and they said the last doctor that came, who was a guy.
Happened. That was an interesting story. Yeah. Thank God for that delay. That's what saved her life. I mean, these are miracles that people.
Somebody is having stomach pain in schools. Children, they have stomach pain. They are laying hands on each other's stomach inside the school instead of going to seek medical help. You know this thing we're doing. And
it's a good culture to let a child know to pray.
I am a firm believer in prayer, but I also feel like many times in African context, in Nigerian context, we pray because. One, it is expensive to go to the hospital and we cannot afford it. Many people, that's the reality. Their faith is based on, I can't afford anything better. The person that used faith to move his car for 1 week was because he didn't have money. If he had money, my pastor says, don't pray for there to be light. Just simply buy fuel and switch a generator. There are things you shouldn't be bothering God about. If there is no light in your house, I'm praying God give us light. Buy a gen. Simply put the fuel. We use spirituality because poverty is so in our faces that we don't have a choice. People would see
let me give you this.
You start praying.
Let me give you this. Let me read this message. Somebody is saying that she and her husband were AS, and they trusted in God for children, and all their children are AS.
Okay.
I don't know how many children, but you see, that's another this genotype issue. Yes. It's another time where we actually activate our faith because you fall in love with somebody.
What about the ones that are AS and they too are faithful
and they had SS
and they have SS?
God's will.
And they prayed.
God's will.
God's will.
You see, that's God's discretion. Somebody asked me that, what is God's discretion?
God's will.
It's God's discretion.
So the two of you pray and believe that the children you would have will be heirs.
Me and my husband prayed before I even got pregnant. We named the children before we wanted twins. Before we got pregnant, and yet I got pregnant and it was blighted over. We prayed. I prayed before. I joined Joyful Mothers and Fathers before I even got pregnant. My prayer was
your prayer. It was a prayer that gave you the twins eventually.
No. But I think the way we should look at it now that we're all saying, I think the way we should look at this miracle is not by our prayer.
Exactly.
It's not our righteousness.
It's God's discretion.
It's His will. Yes, that's it. Because we can't explain it to you.
There is nothing. Nobody deserves the miracle. And some people you think they deserve. There are pastors' wives that I was with a pastor in Qatar, and he was talking about how Daddy Gio prayed. But daddies prayed. They laid hands, they did everything. They prayed. He's a pastor. His wife still died of cancer. It was God. It's not that they are not faithful. It's not the man. The woman is a wonderful, amazing woman.
Someone sent me a message now. The Pope is in the hospital right now as we speak.
So it's not about anything like that. It's just God's will. It just
sometimes I have heard it's a web Daddy Joe himself said that somebody was sick, right? And God asked they asked him to come and pray for them. This was many years ago. He prayed for the person, and as he was praying, the anointing was flowing, but he stopped.
He felt it.
He felt it.
That this is not
going to happen. He kept praying, but the thing flowed, and it kept stopping at his ear. And he was wondering, what's going on? Because he doesn't know. So there's only so much a human being can do. It's God that has the healing. So you can't say, it was a miracle that God did not heal you, or God. It's only God that can decide who should be healed or who cannot be healed.
My own is, if you are sick, go to the hospital.
Please.
Then, while you are in the hospital, all the people that want to pray, come and pray.
Yeah, they do it.
Come and pray. Then the doctors and the
hospitals now feel the prayers. All the word
see all those ones. If left to me, I will drive them away.
Why?
Let my family come and pray for me. Your own work is to treat me with science, not to pray for me.
Of course, yes.
And that's the mistake that we make. Yeah, the nurse. What is your business with the prayer?
Even in the hospital,
you nurse,
doctor will tell you that where we are right now, please go and pray.
Yes.
Like, go down to Nigerian hospitals, they'll tell you. Doctor will tell you, pray.
Even abroad, there's no faith helps because even they've done placebos. They've given people things that are like just sugar pills, and their faith makes them get healed. So even science relies on your faith. We all must believe that this thing is going to happen for it to happen. So there's that element. But the fact that we now suspend science and the proven skills that God has given doctors over the years, and we said that we're going to suspend, we're going to disbelieve all of this, we will not do this.
When my mother was sick, every day in a prayer, in the room next door, every day prayer like that. Everybody was just bringing their pastors, and everybody we're all just praying and trusting God. So I think both can work hand in hand.
Yes, and just like that too, we need to add what we've done with our cultural beliefs and our herbs and things like that, where we have demonized it. Terrible. It's time to look into it and find the knowledge that we have there and combine it with science and prayer.
That's
so that
why
we can even have a broader
I love that NAFDAC woman.
I have a concern with that, right?
I
have a concern with that because it's not regulated. And sometimes those things can be a problem. So when you take, many poorer homes will take their family first to the herbalist, trusting, but there's issues where things get complicated.
So we shouldn't abandon them, empower them to do more,
now
to research more.
Instead of demonizing them, just throwing them and leaving them for only the poor people, let us take them into the classrooms. Let's take them into research.
Okay, yes. I believe in them. That's why I didn't catch Koro. And if I caught, nothing happened to me because I was taking Agbo.
Like I was not catching the hospital. Any God forbid they are sick.
She will never be sick. I'm wrong.
Amen. But, no, I don't pray to be ill, but I will go to if I'm very ill and I don't pray to be ill, I will go to the hospital.
Yeah.
I will go.
I think that is all we can take. Are there any fantastic?
And I'm not saying I won't use herbs. I will use
People
herbs.
are saying that I shouldn't have used discretion. I should say God's will. So God's discretion, God's will. Okay, God's will.
Yeah. Just got some breaking news now. Yule Duchess' first son, Kamdeli Chukwu, is dead. I'm so sorry about that. This is, really, really painful situation. Nobody wants to lose a child. This is the news just coming to us right now. It's to be unfair if we don't mention it. We're just seeing the messages right now. Yule Duchess is an actor in Nigeria, and he's just saying here that he lost his first son. May his soul rest in peace. We don't know what happened. Tales will come later, but honestly, nobody wants to ever bury a child. And this is such a painful situation. And our hearts go out to the entire family of the Duchess. May his soul rest in peace.
Amen.
That's all we can take on today's show. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Miracle.